Hi, I'd like to take a couple minutes to talk about Wilson Lofton's presentation on marriage, biblical marriage. Um, I found it very enlightening, well, enjoyable. I'd have to say I agree with with everything Wilson said. One thing that Wilson you said that was very poignant to me was how you made a point of saying marriage was established before cities and societies, and it was the foundation of families, um, which is very true. In fact, upon thinking about that a little more, earlier last week, our questions were kind of about what should government have a hand in marriage and all that stuff, and should they be able to um, restrict certain types of marriages. I have a couple thoughts on that. Since marriage came before governments, I don't think government should have the ability to restrict marriage, because government is actually a byproduct of the foundation of that marriage that God created through marriage. So, if anything, marriage should have a greater influence on government than government should have on marriage. Um, Also, Satan is a great counterfeiter. Um, I think the term biblical marriage is actually redundant. I think that's the only type of marriage that could ever be. It's anything but biblical marriage is a counterfeit, is a fraud of what God intended for marriage to be, and how we as human beings should interact with each other. So that being said, gay marriage really is not should not be considered a thing, because it is just a counterfeit. So we look at a $100 bill, a real $100 bill from the U.S. Mint, and we hold that up, and everything else that we hold up beside it that wasn't made at the mint is counterfeit. It may look really close. It may mimic a lot of the features of the bill, but uh, it doesn't have the value of the bill. So when we look at marriage, we can say, well, they're a loving couple, he and he, or she and she. Uh, and that may be true by their definition of love, um, but it's a counterfeit love. It's a counterfeit union. It's a counterfeit relationship. And then when we bring children into the mix, it causes severe problems down the road, identity issues and such things like that. So we look at kids who don't know their identity or are allowed to pick their identity before their brain's even formed. Um, it just causes more confusion, which causes higher levels of anxiety and depression and all kinds of other social ills. It also, we hear about inclusion, and if you don't include such and such group, you are considered to be a bigot. Um, and that's another way that Satan attacks us as Christians, because he tells us, well, Jesus wouldn't exclude anybody, but that's not true either, because Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but by me." That means Buddhists aren't in heaven, Muslims aren't in heaven. Anybody who may have all kinds of beliefs and say, "Well, we all serve one God, it's just different ways we serve Him." That's just another lie that Satan spins. So again, as you can see, with Satan being the great counterfeiter, anything he can do to counterfeit what God has ordained for us is a way for him to destroy us as people, but also to be a personal affront to God Himself, because above all, God hates, or Satan hates God. So um, again, I firmly believe in everything that you said, but I just there's a couple things that I think maybe you could even help broaden your argument. And again, I enjoyed your talk. Thank you. Bye.